Let's talk real estate. No, we're not talking about buying and selling. We're talking about the part of real estate that I am totally clueless on. Jeff Clark is here. Now I'm not clueless there. I know how to call Jeff. Trident Inspection Group. Welcome, Jeff.
Good morning, Ron.
So I've often said, like, it's like, something that's kind of funny. I'm going to throw this out there and you tell me. So the part that I know for sure, I have no idea how to use a screwdriver. I don't even know which end to use. Right. So I don't know anything about that. But that doesn't stop me. I could be a home inspector. Right?
Yeah, Ron, technically you're right. There's no licensing requirements in the state of California, which is frightening. So
isn't that amazing when you think about the state that's got a regulation for everything?
Everything. That was one of the reasons I advocated and started actually about 5 years ago, the Orange County chapter for the National Association of Certified Home Inspectors, right? So that way I could have some influence on this industry to make sure at least I'm doing my part to bring up education, awareness, and training. So yeah,
it just baffles me because it's the biggest asset of the vast majority of the people is their house.
Yes.
The biggest liability of the vast majority of people. We have to, if you're an individual who's didn't go to 7-Eleven on Euclid in Anaheim last week and buy a lottery ticket, right?
Right.
You still have to work.
Yes.
And you have to get a mortgage.
Right.
And everything is regulated. Right. The loan officer is regulated and licensed. The lender is regulated. The realtor is regulated.
Right.
Title is regulated. Escrow everything's regulated.
Right.
Except the guy telling you if the house is going to fall down.
And that's a great point because that's why on Trident's team, right, we do home inspections, right, obviously, and then on my team we have general contractors with like 30 years of experience. I'm licensed by the Structural Pest Control Board for branch 2, branch 3, and all of my guys have some additional training along with a training certification or a license to go along to demonstrate their expertise in the field.
It's amazing, yet ironic. It's kind of funny that the state doesn't have anything to do with it. But you know something? I guess it's buyer beware. And one of the things that bothers me with a lot of real estate professionals, I'm not going to go too far there, but they'll say, go, you need a home inspection,
right? But
they don't say go to Jeff and get the home inspection.
Well, to that, I always encourage the agents that I work with, give them 2 or 3 just to give them.
Because they don't know who the best is?
Well, it's not a matter of being the best. It's just, I want them to come through to look at our reviews. We're over 750 5-star reviews, right? And to look to just research and find out, because when you're making this $1.2, $1.3 million purchase, I mean, I think a condo right now is, $650, $700 in that range. You want to have the best person possible, right? Because after you make that purchase, there's going to be, for most people, there's going to be a little bit of financial vulnerability there, right? To where you can't withstand something if it should go wrong. So you want to make sure they're using all the tools at their disposal, because at the end of the day, Ron, we can't open up walls. We have to use things like moisture meters, infrared. We have to get in every attic, every crawl space. We have to use a lot of non-destructive tools to get the best profile of what the current condition of this home is.
And see, that's kind of, I understand what you're saying. And I know a lot of real estate agents do exactly what you're saying. Mm-hmm. And my pushback has always been, something, consumer can look at the 5-star reviews, and that's great.
Mm-hmm.
But that tells you what the person thought of at the moment of exuberance. It doesn't tell you a lot. I look at it and say, okay, if I have people call me and say, who should I use as a real estate agent in Encinitas?
Right.
I can look and say, okay, here's who I would recommend in Encinitas.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't mess with them, give me a call. If you want a home inspector and you're in Southern California, call Jeff, because I have a relationship as a professional in what I do and as a consumer advocate, right? If I get a bunch of complaints about Jeff, I'm not going to be telling anybody to call Jeff. right? But I don't. So I have an attorney that's in Fullerton. Anytime somebody's got real estate questions, it doesn't take me more than 30 seconds to say, here's who you need to call, right? So it's my job. The homeowner's buying a house once every 10 years. So how do they know what they don't know? Right? They don't know to ask. Most people I would assume, I think, assume like I did until I started doing more research, that there's some certifications, right? You've educated me more and more that it's a Wild West. So, that's just my opinion is, go talk to Jeff.
Well, in that, to that, on that topic, right? The consumer today has never had more of an opportunity to express their anecdotal experience.
Sure.
Right. So with the reviews, comes a certain level of authenticity, even if they're however you said it was just, just a glaze of just glee or what have you. They still can come back, update that review or not use a review. Right. So the reviews, I weigh heavily on those because they do demonstrate a consistency of professionalism.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you have 750. You're not going to bamboozle 750 people.
Correct.
Right.
So that's where we range on those, because those are the people out there that have chosen to advocate for us in our absence.
Sure. Okay, that makes sense.
So they're listing us, my inspectors, off by name and the experience they had, and when they really and like just yesterday, for a matter of fact, you could go on there. I had an agent where I found a fairly significant issue. I mean, we're on a bigger house and it's a rafter. I'm in the attic, and this is a bigger house, and the rafter had cracked, right? So this is a significant issue, but we were able to identify the issue, talk about what the repairs are, contextualize what's happening, and then pivot towards solution for them. And that was demonstrated by the agent, who's a top producing agent. She opted to leave that review. So, it's true. But I would say I give those reviews a little bit more. I won't even go to a restaurant without checking a Yelp.
That's funny you say that. And I know we got to go, but I laugh about that a lot because my wife is that way. Right. So you could tell me, hey, Ron, you need to go to this restaurant. We just went there. My wife and I just went there. It was really good. And she goes to Yelp. And I'm saying, wait a second. Jeff just told us, Jeff, we know, like, and trust Jeff. And he told us, go to this restaurant. It's good. And you're going to go to Yelp to listen to somebody you don't know and have no reason to trust and verify or disprove what Jeff just told us. I just laugh about that part with restaurants. It's kind of funny. Continuing our conversation, Jeff Clark is with us, Trident Inspection Group. So, Jeff, what are you seeing in the world right now with respect to all the wildfires? Is there anything somebody can do with their housing or inspections to try and protect themselves a little?
Well, there is, right? And with the recent, this is something, Ron, that I've been advocating for about 4 or 5 years. Okay, since the fires that took place up in the northern California.
Oh, okay.
Because in this area, we have Anaheim Hills, Yorba Linda, Brea, all these nice little hill homes. And then as we just had rain today, you're just going to see an increase in just the growth around those homes.
Sure.
So it's not really the fires that get you, right? It's the firebrands or the embers that blow through on the wind.
Ah, okay.
So really the most important part of the home is the initial, the NFPA, the National Fire Protection Association, breaks a home down into 3 zones, really. You have the ignition zone, the 0 to 5 feet. So think from the edge of your house out 5 feet. So that's around the immediate perimeter of the house. Then from 5 feet out to 30 feet, they want to call that the lean and green area. Okay. And then from 30 feet out to 100 of the property line, that's where you want to do more like trimming trees and making sure there's spacing and vegetation management and irrigation and things like that. But really what you want to focus, the most impact that you could do around your home is, you see it a lot. They put the bark or the mulch around in the planters that butt up right next to the house. Just remove that, because if a fire ember blows on there and smolders, now you have an ignition point right next to your home.
And here, I thought that that just looks a lot nicer than having the dirt.
It does, but I don't know anything about
it.
you could go with something that's equally aesthetically appealing, right? You go with decomposed granite or rock or some other ground covering there that would yield the same effect, right? You just want to keep that area as, I don't want to say bare, because this is an interface to where aesthetic, and you want to enjoy your home and you want it to look a certain way, but then you also want to protect it against unforeseen issues.
Now, let me ask you this question, because I have no cosmetic taste.
I get it.
Right. I'm a numbers guy.
Right.
And so therefore, I don't get any vote about what goes on around my house. Right. My wife has all those decision making.
Yes.
Do those things that you're talking about in the hardening world, are they appealing? Are the ladies, not to be gender specific, but I think in a lot of instances it's the ladies who have more input there. Are they accepting of that kind of thought?
It is. I'm going to be doing a consultation later tonight because you do have like aluminum type of patio furniture as opposed to plastic that may have fire resistant material as far as the cushions that go on top of it. You can, there's a whole industry in exterior furnishings and things like that address this issue and make it less combustible. I mean, you don't need to leave your cushions out all the time, or just little things that you could do about that. Or if you're going to be doing or building a new deck, using materials that are flame resistant.
Okay.
Right? It really is an interface between creature comforts and what's the word I'm looking for?
Aesthetics?
Creature comforts, aesthetics, and functionality.
There you go.
Right.
So let me ask you this question then, because I know that we've talked in the past when you've been on the program that you do inspections for insurance.
Correct.
Is this something that would get noted in an insurance inspection?
The typical insurance inspection that not yet.
Okay.
Right. I am anticipating and we're trying to get prepared for if there's what's that one, fair advantage? Fair plan. I'm sorry. I'm kind of in my own mind anticipating that they're going to be including this in their insurance request.
Like, it would seem to me, I mean, if you have a home alarm, you get a discount on your insurance. Mm-hmm. It would seem to me that if something like what you're saying here is referenced, it should make the risk to the insurance company a little lower.
Correct. And it's super simple fixes in terms of if you go around your home and you're looking at your venting around your garage or the venting along underneath your eaves, usually it comes with like a 1/4 inch screen on there. If you could just take that down to an 1/8 inch or a 1/16 of an inch, you still get the ventilation. It just really protects that house from firebrands, the embers coming in. And then if you just kind of maybe go buy a drone, it's a tool, it's not a toy. But you just get a drone and take a look and where the roofs come together to create a valley to make sure that doesn't have a lot of debris or leaves or pine needles accumulating in there. Around your gutters, just to put those, you see those screen gutter filters.
Yeah.
Those are huge because when those fill up, because when's the last time you cleaned your gutters? If you say, I don't know, there's probably a lot of stuff that's accumulated in there. So if an ember was to fly in there, now you have an ignition point right at a wood because you have the fascia, the rafter tails, and the sheathing underneath your roof right there to ignite.
Interesting. Okay. It's funny you say that because I just did have to clean my gutters just recently, right. But it was not for the right reason.
Right.
When we had those rains a few weeks ago, it rained so hard that the water was backing up and coming over outside the gutter, not through the way the channel it's supposed to go through.
Right.
And you had to get the the bald fat guy up on a ladder, which he doesn't do very often.
Right.
Interesting. It's kind of crazy stuff.
Right.
So are you seeing more and more requests for insurance inspections?
For about the past, I think last time we were on the show, we talked about this. For about the past 2.5 years, I'm not going to name them, but a lot of the major carriers have been doing non-renewals pending inspection, right?
Okay.
And then those inspections are looking at the age. They're looking for potential loss, right? They're looking for fire or water, right? They're looking on the interior or at the exterior with your electrical panel. What's the age of that? Has that been updated? Has the home been repiped? As far as your fresh water coming in, what does the HVAC look like and the air conditioning look like? water heater, etc. They want to take a look underneath each cabinet and the sink and the toilet, make sure the angle stops. Those are those things that you turn off the water on and off that are underneath the sinks. Make sure those don't have a lot of corrosion. So that's really what they're looking for, is kind of an inventorying your sinks, laundry rooms, water heaters, HVAC systems, and electrical panel.
Is that part of the home inspection when I buy a house too, that I can send that? I know I see a lot of the biggest concerns I see when someone's buying a house and we're financing it is the insurance issue.
Yes, I'm a pretty private person, so I say can and will be used against you. So what we do for our clients, if they want to have that type of information, I just have them reach out, and then we'll just write some language on there. That way they don't have to submit the whole report, right? We can narrow down, what are you asking? Let me just answer those questions, because we don't want to give them the whole report. Makes total sense, because you're right. I mean, if the more you share with insurance companies, right, the more they're gonna we don't have any insurance companies sponsoring us, the more they're going to use it against you. You're right. Continue our conversation. Jeff Clark is with us, Trident Inspection Group. So Jeff does all kinds of inspections, and we're talking about fire. Well, maybe because he wants to have homes to inspect. I want to have homes to lend on. You want to have homes to live in, and fires mess up all of that. So Jeff, have you seen more? I mean, I did read some of the things, and I was lucky enough to have the Anaheim fire chief on right after the Canyon fires. Right. And one of the big things Anaheim has done is the goats. Right. It's a cheap way of and a environmentally friendly way, right, of taking care of some of the fire issues. Do you see more goats around to try and clean this? Is it effective? Well, yeah, because I mean, you have the goats could eat the grass down to like an 1/8 inch. So you want to keep that fuel down as low as you can, and what a natural way to do it, right? You just throw a bunch of goats out there, and they're just going to eat it to the dirt, basically, right? And with that, because what you want to do, if it's your property, you want to take a look at the laddering effect, right? So you want to make sure that you limb your trees up at least 6 feet, the shrubbery around there, make sure that there's good irrigation, and you really want to take a look at who's responsible for it. Have Anaheim Fire, Orange County Fire Authority, Cal Fire come out. A lot of these places, a lot of these agencies will provide you a free inspection for the AB 38 and things like that, which is where AB 38 is essentially you have to have a home hardening plan at time of transfer, essentially. But if you want to take that one step further, you could always reach out to Trident, and we not only do that, but we give you a make sense plan and then give you different items. It's not just what the deficiencies are, but it pivots towards what the solution is, because really what we want to take into account is, we have to have a budget. Nobody has an unlimited budget, so we want to get that. Except that guy in Anaheim that just won the lot. Well, that guy's having a good day today, that's for sure. Exactly. Right. So we just want to make sure that the solutions meet the budget, right? So we're going to get the maximum amount of effect for the lowest dollars in. But you've really expanded since you've been coming on the broadcast. I mean, when we first started, you were doing home inspections, and now you've got the insurance inspections and the pest. And one of the things I wanted to ask you, because I know you brought in the termite and pest inspection, and I don't understand all that stuff. Right. But when you see a house with dry rot, is that going to be more susceptible to the fire? It will be, right? When you're talking about dry rot, basically those are just frayed wood. That's just like kindling. Like you use if you remember back in Boy Scouts or whatever, you start with that kindling. Right. That would be the first stage of that. So the ember that flies into that, it's easy to light. Correct. Yeah. And that's usually, and that's so treatable on the front side. I mean, I understand I'm looking for that 8th day or that 25th hour myself. Sure. But if, part of that home ownership and things that we go over during the inspection process is we try to break down maintenance plans, because we're always preparing for the season ahead. Right. Okay. And we when we're walking you around, we're introducing you to the house, and we're just showing you a little simple maintenance, because it's just how do you eat an elephant? You eat it one bite at a time. Right. And think of that like home maintenance. Right. It's just, caulk here or paint this or sand that. And it's a way of, you get the pride of ownership. You get to interact with your house, and you get your DIY skills up a little bit and save your money in the long run. Something I had Rob Von Ash, an attorney, was on with the broadcast with me last week or the week before, and Jeff Sipes,
our credit repair expert was on, and I was talking to them about the concept. My personal belief is that when you hire a professional, it doesn't cost you anything. It saves you in the long run.
Right.
And I was just chatting with some folks that we're helping that are buying new build. And I said, you should call Jeff and talk to him about the 11-month mark. Mark it on your calendar.
Right.
Because most new homes have that a 12-month warranty.
Right.
And spending the money that it would cost for them to hire you to come out, and I don't even know what it costs, but I'm sure if there's issues, you'll find them.
Well, every home, even if it's a new build or a custom build or whatever the case may be, it still has the human element to it. And remember that the building codes are the minimum threshold.
Okay.
The minimum threshold, but you still have a human, whoever's putting your AC in or whoever's, wiring your electrical panel or whatever they were doing, it's susceptible to error, even on your building inspectors, because even during COVID, let's just say, when they would do building inspections with COVID, the contractors would take photos and then upload that to the building because you couldn't interact. So there's been a lot of adjustments in the past few years on how buildings are inspected, even at the city or even at the city level. So it's always best to have somebody there that's to advocate for you, that's looking out for your best interest, not beholden to anybody else, but to you, and to really dig into that home, especially on that, 9, 10, 11 month while the fit and finish warranty is in place.
Yeah. And again, I don't think it in the long run, it's not an expense. It's just taking a look and you can actually then at that point, from what you just told us or taught us, you can also start dealing with, okay, this is what you need to expect in 3 years as far as maintenance. Right. And this is what you need to, how often, because you talk about the dry rot and how easy it is to, and I know I'm going in circles here.
That's right.
The way my mind works.
Yeah.
How often should one have their house inspected? I mean, most of us think, okay, I'm only going to have my house inspected for termites and pests and whatever when I see a definite need or if I'm selling.
That's a great question, because I've been approached by many agents. They go, Jeff, this guy's had a pest contract with whoever, XYZ Pest Control, for the last 5 years. How are you finding a couple thousand in damage? What happened here? Well, there's a disconnect. And so I always advocate, just have it done for a year. If you're a homeowner, chances are it's going to be low or no cost for someone to come out there. You get a list, you understand what it is, but the most important thing is you get it early. Local treatment is way less expensive than a fumigation. If you could just get a couple of,
wait, you got to back up, Jeff. What is local treatment?
A local treatment is, let's say, for example, we're inspecting the outside and we find a little hot pocket of termites on the fascia or the eaves or somewhere on the exterior. We can just treat that area with a termiticide and kill the colony or the gallery of termites in there, preventing them from continuing to eat your home. Okay. So it's always best, because when's the last time you've been in the attic? Let's be honest. Or crawled underneath the house. I was just underneath the house yesterday. I go every attic, every crawl space, every time.
You're a big guy, so it's got.
I am a big. They always ask me, "How are you going to get in that crawl space?" I'm going to wiggle my nose. You know what I mean? So, just take advantage of what the service providers are out there, so that way you could have a better understanding. And just feel free to ask questions. Always ask questions. You could chat GPT 10 top questions you should ask a termite inspector, or 10 questions to ask a home inspector, or you could ask it all these different questions to assist you and educate you along the process. That way you can go to the next layer of conversation.
I hope you understand now why, in my opinion, you got to just call Jeff. If you need inspection work done, just call Jeff. You can tell how educated he is and how passionate he is about helping people. And that's why we like having him come on and share with us on Ron Siegel Radio. If you want to meet Jeff, give me a call again, 800-306-1990. Jeff, we're out of time, but I want to. So you do home inspections, insurance inspections, pest and termite inspections.
What we do, Ron, is we do residential, commercial inspections, mold, sewer, pest control services, as well as inspections. And then we have a full team of termite inspectors, woodworkers, and then treatment options.
Holy cow, so you got it all going on.
We do.
One stop, call Jeff. It's like go see Cal. Go see Jeff.
Yes, go see Jeff.